Hello there and welcome back to some more Forza Horizon 4. Today we are taking a look at the DLC cards for week number 17 of the Car Pass, aka the 17th of January 2019. As usual, we received 2 cars this week, and the theme of this week was Porsches. Also, thanks to an update that was released early on in the week, we can see the new Car Pass cars for the next month, and I have to say it's looking like it's going to be an absolutely cracking month to be a Car Pass owner. Yeah, some certainly excellent stuff upcoming, and some certainly excellent stuff that we have this week with our 2 Porsches, especially if you're a Porsche fan. We begin with the 2019 Porsche 911 Carrera S, 444 horsepower, 391 foot-pound torque, 3,340 pounds of weight, rear-engined rear-wheel drive S1 class, 840 PI. This is, of course, the new generation of the Porsche 911, the 992, taking over from the previous 991 generation of 911. And this one is actually pretty interesting. It features a pretty major styling deviation from the previous 911s. In fact, maybe even harkening back to some of the previous 911s, such as the 930. You see, this car from the front at least does look very similar to a 991. The only real difference being that they've sort of adapted the grille from the new Cayenne onto the front of this, and I have to say this car wears that grille a hell of a lot better than Cayenne did. The Cayenne really does not look good with sort of this big dog bone-like grille, but for the 911 it actually does kind of suit it, which is certainly nice to see. I think it's a really good looking car from the front personally. However, it's when you get to the back that you see a bit of a major change, and that's that the rear lights are now actually conjoined. It has a continuous light bar. A lot of sort of cars these days are going towards that. The Aston Martin Vantage, Kia Stinger, I think even the new Cayenne does have it, just to name a few. And it is interesting. The rear end of this car is kind of hard to look at, especially considering it has some active aero. It does make it look a little bit awkward. I'm assuming it's going to be one of those things that we get used to over time, but it is a pretty major shake-up to the way the 911 looks, which probably hasn't happened in a fair old while. In fact, I'm fairly certain the last time we saw a shake-up this big was probably when they put fried egg headlights on the 996. That was a terrible decision. Hopefully this one won't be quite as bad. It doesn't make me want to vomit in my own mouth, so that is an improvement over the 996. As far as this car goes, interestingly enough, this is the first ever modern Carrera we've had in a Forza game. Of course, in previous games, and indeed in this game I believe, we've had the 1973 Carrera RS, but there's never actually been a modern Porsche Carrera, so it's interesting to see. Another interesting note with this car is that it is just a normal Carrera S, not the Carrera 4S, which of course is the 4-wheel drive version. I'm not quite sure why they avoided that. I don't know if they just thought, well, you can 4-wheel drive swap it anyway if you want to drive the 4S, or if they wanted to get the more sort of raw 911 experience in the game. But yeah, it's an interesting choice. Other than that, though, it is your typical Porsche 911, 3-litre flat 6 in the rear, of course. Porsche is still adamant that they stick the engine in the wrong place. PDK transmission, 8-speed auto. Pretty good. I'm assuming there'll be a manual coming later because Porsche fanatics cry about manuals, so I'm assuming that's going to come later on in some models of this, but this one in particular does have the PDK. It is a big grab for Forza, really, to have the new generation 911, literally as it's just going into showrooms, so a really good grab for Forza there. Of course, they have a close relationship with Porsche, so I'm hardly surprised, but yeah, certainly a big grab for Forza to get, and one I know a lot of people are very excited to get out there and drive. Although, if you ask me, I'm more excited about this. This is the 1993 Porsche 968 Turbo S. 305 horsepower, 369 foot-pound torque, 2,866 pounds of weight, front-engined rear-wheel drive, A-Class 716 PI. I am so happy the 968 is finally in a game. I never thought the day would come. For those of you who don't know, the Porsche 968 is the next step up from the 944, which of course we all remember the 944, we remember the 924, the poor man's Porsche, but no one really talks about the final evolution, which was the 968. And I'm sure there's a multitude of reasons for that. It's not particularly fondly remembered. It was kind of getting a little bit old in the tooth when it came out. But if you ask me, I think this is an absolutely cracking looking car. It's my favourite front-engine rear-drive Porsche ever. I'm saying it's holding that spot maybe with the 928 GTS, but I really like the way this looks. It basically sort of has the 928 modernised front end on it, which I really like. And they've also smoothed out the back end from the 944 generation. I think it's an absolutely cracking looking car. This one being the Turbo S, it doesn't look quite as good as maybe it could have done. The wings are a little bit awkward. Sort of the front, there's some front divots in the bonnet which are a bit weird. There's a couple more grills. It has special wheels and all the rest of it. This is the highest trim of 968. Not surprised they went for it, but I do think some of the more basic models are better looking, but I'm not going to complain that much. The 968's in a game, and it's an incredible car. I've driven it, it's super fun. This is probably going to be the Porsche that I try and just, you know, enjoy some roads in. I will say, for those of you who are looking to do a little bit more than, you know, drive around some pretty roads, maybe you're looking to tear up Z roads, the 968 is actually a pretty adaptable platform by the looks of it. There is tons of engine swaps to this thing. I think it has 7 or 8 engine swaps, everything from BMW engines, you can stick a Skyline GTR motor in it, you can stick a 787B motor in it, the 918 hybrid motor, you can stick that in the 911 as well. So you can really have some fun with this. You know, you can make it maybe a rear-wheel drive rally car, maybe four-wheel drive swap it and make it an even faster rally car. You can make it a road racer, you can make it a tourer, you can make it so it goes as quick as a supercar. It really is a very adaptable platform, and that was sort of the beauty of these sports car Porsches, the ones that have the front engine rear drive. They have a pretty good balance, and you can really just build whatever sort of car you want with this. You could make a drift car out of it if you want to, if you're that way inclined. But yeah, I'm just super happy to see the 968 in the game. Again, as I said, I think it's an absolutely cracking looking car. I've had a lot of fun driving it around at the moment. I'm probably going to drive it when I'm finished with this. I drove it for the thumbnail, and yeah, excellent car. Really happy to see the 968 finally in a game. I much prefer it over the 944, so yeah, a very good car in my opinion, although I know a lot of people are probably going to be way more excited about the 992. In case you are wondering, interestingly enough, the Carrera S sits in modern sports cars, and the 968 sits in retro sports cars, so it's a pretty cheap category to get into anyway. Nothing's really going to help you out if you're tight of funds, but, I mean, they're both excellent cars. The 992, obviously highly anticipated by everyone, and the 968 Turbo, highly anticipated by me because the 968 is fantastic. Also, those figures are very impressive for 93, admit it. But yeah, anyways, and that is the car pass for week number 17. Do hope you enjoy. Let me know down below if you love the 968 as much as I do. And also let me know which week you are most excited for the car pass, which you can see off to the right, because yeah, this is going to be a pretty phenomenal month for Forza Horizon 4. As usual, thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.